Something else we've been following for quite some time is the war on graft and where that is taking us. So we've been talking about this commission that doesn't have commissioners, but it's important for us to see how this all began, particularly with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Now, you'll see it was not a very smooth ride right from the beginning. So let's take you through the formation of the EACC and in particular the commissioners. So this is what happened in 2011. The panel that was tasked with finding candidates shortlisted them for the position of chair and commissioners, and this was sent to Parliament by President Mwai Kibaki. Remember, it was a coalition government. So it was Mwai Kibaki and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Of course, it went to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee that then tabled a report to the House rejecting Mumo Matemu. And this is what they said. They said he lacks passion, drive, and interest to chair the commission. Now, lots of heated debate that we saw and lots of accusations and allegations against Mumo Matemu himself. Now, these are some of the allegations that were raised against Mumo Matemu that you see here. First, that he failed to collect 2.4 billion shillings while he was the head of litigation at the Kenya Revenue Authority. And then other allegations surfaced as to some of his activities while he was at AFC, that's the Agricultural Finance Corporation. Gitobu Manyara, who was in Parliament at the time, raised certain allegations saying he did some funny business with some shady businessmen. Essentially, what he was accused of doing was allowing some of these businessmen to borrow loans, to take loans from AFC between 18 and around 24 million, and then those loans would be mysteriously written off. These loans that were written off amounted to about 5 billion shillings. And of course, the debate as to whether indeed he was fit and suitable for the position was what many pundits said did not happen, but it was rather a heated debate about passion. Listen to this. When the former MP at the time, is now the late Otieno Kajwang, had to say about passion. You will all remember this statement. Listen to this.
Mr. Speaker, passion can only be determined once somebody has been given a job to do.
Mr. Speaker, these candidates, as good as they are, as competent as they are, they lack something, Mr. Speaker, which is necessary if this country is going to win the war against corruption. Passion for the job. There is no passionometer.
A passion of a woman is never seen during the day, Mr. Speaker. And if they have interest in seeing the passion of these women, give them this work and let the women do the work, and you will see the passion that they have.
So after all that fiery debate, it went down to a vote, and this is how the vote went. 50 MPs voted down that report that was done by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, in effect approving the nominees. In case you think this is a whopping win for Mumo Matemu at the time, it wasn't. 50 MPs voted down the report, 49 voted in favor. That tells you a very, very thin margin for him, and there was not much faith and trust in him. Of course, after that happened, the nominees, the appointment of the nominees was gazetted, and there are the gazette numbers. So it looked like things were good, right? No, perhaps not. A Nakuru NGO, that's the Trusted Society of Human Rights Alliance, challenged Mumo Matemu's appointment in court. The three-judge bench agreed with the Nakuru NGO, and they applied what is known as the rationality test. This is what it meant, that the court had the power to step in and investigate whether the process of recruitment and the individuals met the constitutional requirements. The court determined that it did not, and therefore they said, Mumo Matemu, no, for the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. These court battles, remember, are happening at the time when the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for 2 years has no substantive chair. Mumo Matemu went back to court. He appealed the decision. The Court of Appeal agreed with him and set aside the court verdict because they agreed with Mumo Matemu that the NGO had no locus standi to institute the petition, and they said that all the laws were duly followed in the appointment of Mumo Matemu. He was then subsequently sworn in August of 2013. Now, things seemed to be really good for a year. The commission continued to work. Just about a year after he was sworn in, September 2014, a secret letter is written by Commissioners Irene Kano and Professor Jane Onsongo to the President on Mumo Matemu. It started out elaborating all of their achievements without Mumo Matemu while he was busy fighting his court battles. Then came the bombshell. They started by saying that the chair lacked the desire to fight corruption and that he lacked vision. Again, this issue of desire and passion and the will to fight corruption coming up. And in some of those allegations that they made against Mumo Matemu, they said he did not exercise leadership and judgment in directing the commission. I'm quoting their letter here. They said he has a leadership style of divide and rule, and the interesting one was that he declared in public that he joined the commission only to make money and not to fight corruption. I hosted Mumo Matemu on this issue. He said all was well. This was all resolved. And indeed, January 2015, that letter was rescinded. The commissioner said they had relied on malicious reports. All was well. They kissed and made up. We were made to believe that things were going well. Remember, this is January this year. Just 3 months later, more controversy from the Ethics Anti-Corruption Commission. On the 9th of March, a letter was written by the chair of the commission, Mumo Matemu, to the deputy CEO, Michael Mubea. This is what they said, that intelligence reaching the commission suggested that their integrity challenges surrounding the discharge of his duties. They said he had brought ridicule to the commission. He was interdicted for 30 days pending investigation by an interagency committee. We thought, okay, fighting corruption from within, good job. A day later, what happens? CEO Halake Wako defies this interdiction of his deputy. This is what he said in the letter. I'm not aware of the alleged intelligence. I'm surprised that that intelligence would not pass through me going to the commission. He also said that the chair was out of line and that he was to give direction on such matters and not issue appointment, suspension, interdiction, or even dismissal letters to the staff. And in fact, he went on to direct Michael Mubea to report back to duty the next day. He was reinstated. Again, we were told all was well. They were getting back to normal and that this would be an internal matter that would be resolved. So you can take a look at all of these things. But whilst the rest of the country was all thinking there is something wrong within the EACC, so did one lawyer, George Oriaro. He agreed with the rest of Kenyans and he relied heavily on those letters, the back and forth that was taking place between the commissioners and the secretariat in his petition to Parliament, where he asked for the removal of Kano and Matemu. Again, this was a matter that was being looked at by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, but just before that could happen, on the 31st of March, Professor Jane Onsongo resigned, and she said she did not believe that the commission was capable of fighting the numerous mega corruption scandals that were before it. Now, at this point, we started to hear allegations of pressure to resign from the commissioners, and this was from Irene Kano, who claimed that she had been offered an ambassadorial post to resign. Listen to what she had to say on the 1st of April.
I wish to state that there's a brazen attempt to force my resignation and disbandment of the commission by a clique which is a clear subversion of the Constitution.
Aha, and there are those investigations. So what happened is we have this probe that is ongoing. And on April the 1st, just before, of course, she resigned, the members of parliament, 124 of them, voted in favor of their removal. There were 180 MPs who were in session at the time, 124 vote. So, of course, the legal processes took their course. They sent this petition to the president, who then put together a commission to look into the conduct of the commissioners as required by law. But, of course, before that could happen, we had Irene Kano, who resigned on April the 30th. She said it was to spare her family the anguish of a judicial process that would cause them unimaginable pain. She continued to reiterate that her conscience was clear. Before the commission could begin its work, this was the final hammer in the coffin. 12th of May, Mumo Matemu resigned. He said he was subordinating his personal rights and interests to the greater public good in the fight against corruption. Of course, after that, the AG, Githu Muigai, said the Justice Jonathan Havelock Committee then stands dissolved because there are no commissioners. But there's a question that lingers. So what happens with these allegations of impropriety, abuse of office, and lack of fighting corruption now that they've resigned? That's one question. Second question is, who is fighting corruption? And have they been fighting corruption since 2011? That is the question we will be handling with Edwin Sifuna, Gunjiri Wambogu, and Barack Muluka.
Of course, another question we'll be looking into is who is going to fight corruption going forward now that there are no commissioners.
The process will start again, John. But if this is anything to go by...
Well, there's 11 days left until the 60-day ultimatum lapses. 11 days.
Yeah.
We can't do it in 11 days.
There you go.